Good morning, everyone. It's been a great day so far. We had some incredible panels. So now we're going to continue this day with Addye Buckley-Burnell. She's the Associate Director of Career Development in the Auburn University Career Center, where she served since 2012. She oversees the career counseling functions of the office and supervises staff, graduate assistants, and student peer career advisors. Just as a reminder, you are automatically muted. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the group chat, and we will get to as many as we have time for at the end of this session. Thank you, Addye, and I'm going to turn the program over to you to tell us how to lead from day one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Erin. I really appreciate being a part of this great group of people presenting over this whole conference. So thank you so much for putting this together. Hi, everyone. My name is Addye Buckley-Burnell. For those who don't know me, I've been over here in the University Career Center for quite a while, but I've had a journey getting here. And I hope today will be helpful for everybody, but also interactive. And so what we'll be talking about today includes a variety of topics, but I'm hoping that everyone here will have a takeaway from the end that will help you move to that next step. So we're going to be hitting on elements of what makes a leader, building and using these qualities in ourselves, personal branding, predictive index, and then also goals and planning. So we have a lot of things to cover today. I do want this to be as interactive as possible. And so I do have the chat box up. I'd love for you guys to put in any questions or comments in the chat box. Also have the question and answer box up. So we'll get everything covered as we see. So just some things to think about. When we are looking at our professional lives, I want you guys to be thinking about what it is to be a professional. What so often happens for our new professionals, especially, is this idea of we have a concept of what others are expecting us to be, and we're trying to live up to that. That concept consistently brings about that element of imposter syndrome or imposter mindset that prevents us from being our true selves and prevents us from noticing our successes. And so one of the key takeaways I really want to bring home with you today is the idea of bringing your authentic self to the office, bringing your authentic self into your workplace. It's really hard to become the best version of who you are without bringing where you are right now into the work spot. I can say for myself, one of the big things that came to my mind when I was a new professional was that idea of I thought based off of the media representation of everyone, that people in offices had to dress a certain way. They had to act a certain way. Leaders all kind of follow the same trends, the same look to them in every type of media representation you have. I grew up in a family of people who own their own businesses. They were not in office settings. And so the concept of being in an office position, the concept of working in a position that was more of a professional setting, the only reference point I had was what I saw on TV and in movies. It took me a few years to realize that being that person was not going to work. Being that person was not going to lead to my success or happiness. And so the idea of bringing your authentic self into the workplace is going to be the part that is your springboard into success and into your leadership roles. If you could see what I'm wearing right now, wearing a blazer and a shirt was not something I would have worn in my life prior to my professional life. Definitely not really my style. However, I have found ways of adapting my work style to allow for who I am outside of work to show through. So you may not be able to tell from there, but the inside of my jacket, if I can get it with the is actually Wonder Woman. All right, Wonder Woman is on the inside of my jacket. So I still have the professional look, but I have a part of who I am. I am somebody who has multiple tattoos, who has multiple piercings, and I've constantly had to navigate that in the workplace. But it's not something I'm willing to prevent others from seeing. So being true to who I am has led to me being able to lead from within. Now, part of what we're going to do today is talk about what makes good leaders. How can we emulate those elements while still being true to who we are? And so I want you guys to first go ahead and download this handout. Now I've put a link on here. I put a QR code for those who are not familiar with QR codes. if you grab your camera phone, your phone, hold up the camera to the QR code, a link will pop up. It'll bring it up for you. I will also put the actual file in chat box if you prefer to download it that way. Right? Give me 1 moment. But we're going to be kind of working through this as we go. Oh, it's not letting me put it in the chat. So for that reason, go ahead and go to this link and it'll be able to get it out. Now we're going to be working through this and talking through this, but I want you guys to be thinking about who you are as a professional, as a person, what is important to you. And so when we're doing that, be constantly reflecting on these elements. First off, we are going to talk about what qualities make an influential or an effective leader. So I want all of you to think about the most influential person that you are familiar with. Now, this could be somebody who's famous. This could be a Michelle Obama. This could be a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This could be anyone that you can think about, male or female, whatever your preference might be for this. But who is it that you automatically think to as the most effective or the most influential leader? It also could be somebody who's not famous. You might find that the most influential leader is someone that has been part of your family. Maybe a grandmother, a grandfather, a mother, a father, a brother, a sister. Who is the most influential or effective leader you know? Once you're thinking about this, go ahead and put those different people in the chat for me. And I'm having a question to put it in the chat, the actual link. There's the link to the handout if you did not grab it on the first slide. All right, so go ahead, guys, put it in the handout or in the chat box. Who is the most influential person you know? Oh, Martin Luther King Jr., perfect. Brene Brown, yes. Anyone else? Grandmother, father, yes. Some of the most influential people in my life, most definitely been my family members. You know, I come from a long line of strong women, and therefore they are the people I emulate. Very good point. My father, great. Yes, yes. Ronald Reagan, all right. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's my girl. If you look in my office, you'll see numerous pictures or images dedicated to the notorious RBG. All right. That's wonderful. Your current supervisor, that's amazing. Shout out to Elaine Manning. That's wonderful. Now, you know, we all have these people who are influential and they are effective and they are good at what they're doing. Now, one element of a good leader is that they all get to that same endpoint. They all are leading effectively, but they all do it differently. So take a moment and start thinking about what are the characteristics that make them a good leader? What is it about these people that make them? Vision. Mm-hmm. Yes, clear vision and being able to communicate that vision, right? What else? Open to new ideas. I think that's such an important part, Jennifer, that open to new ideas, or new ideas that could come from anywhere, right? Not just from people who are above them, but new ideas from those who are around them. Passion. Consistent. Consistent is such a big one. You know, you don't want somebody who is going to be different day to day. Consistency, discipline. These are great descriptors. Now, when we're thinking about those great leaders, purpose, such an important one. Resilient. Oh, that's one of my favorite words. Resiliency is like my motto for this year. You know, if nothing else that we've been learning this year is that importance of resiliency. Knowing how to influence others and to follow them. That's great. You know, knowing how to influence others, to follow when needed, to lead when needed. Perseverance. Great. Now, there's no end to the amount of words that we can describe them, right? Now, sometimes we know good leaders because we've seen good leaders. You all have that person in mind. Encourager. Oh, I like that. Encouraging those around you. You know, we all have that person in mind that's a good leader. Sometimes we learn what good leadership is by the opposite, right? We have all had the bad leaders in our life, right? You know, what are some of the things that were bad leadership styles for you? What are some of the words that come to mind of those ineffective leaders? Unsupportive, micromanaging. Oh, everybody's favorite thing, micromanaging. Have you noticed that everyone hates micromanagers, yet nobody actually ever admits to being a micromanager? I just find that interesting. Not dependable, do not listen, poor communication, very important one there. Arrogance. Yes. There's nothing more frustrating than a leader who thinks that they know more than everyone else. All right. Good leaders are shown to actually believe that they don't know everything and that they hire people who do know the things that they don't know. Word is not valid. That, you know, that is a really good point on here, that the word is not valid. If they are saying things that they are not going to follow through on, self-absorbed, not open-minded. It kind of brings back to that concept of integrity. You know, to me, the number one thing I look for in a leader is integrity. If they're going to do something, they're going to do it. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. If they are doing what is right, even when no one else is watching. Oh, vindictive. That's scary. You know, when we think about leaders who are vindictive or who are petty, probably not the best leaders that we want to follow. So the idea here is that we know the qualities that make a good leader, sometimes by experience, good leadership, but oftentimes by experiencing bad leadership and knowing what to do. You can also think of people in my family or people who I have been under who were bad leaders, and they've taught me what, right? So sometimes that's almost as helpful as a good leader to show us the way. What I want for you guys to be thinking about, yes, integrity is paramount. It's such an important element. One of the things that I really try to be proud of. What I want for you to think about today is to be intentional about your leadership style. All right. What I mean by that is that we're coming up with all of these descriptors of what a good leader is. We're also coming up with these descriptors of what a bad leader is. You know, who is not effective. Have you ever thought, though, about how you are leading? Now, many of us may not be in a leadership role right now. Many of us may be in our first or maybe second position who do not have supervisory responsibilities or do not have project lead responsibilities. But you can lead from a non-leadership role. And I think that that's the part that we don't think about when we are a new professional, especially. The importance of leadership among peers. The importance of leadership in a team that is not necessarily one over another, but being able to work together, take the lead, and leading by example. Leading from behind is kind of what this is called. So even if you are not in a leadership role, you can be thinking about some of these pieces of being a good leader and being intentional about living that in your life every day. So take a moment, use the some of the qualities about that good leader that you're thinking about, and reflect on what values those are bringing. If you're noticing that the qualities of a good leader are things like integrity, relationships, caring for the people who are there, helping people, that's a pretty clear indication that honesty and helping others are values that are important to you. If it's that clear communication, if it's the expecting the best, if it is the inspiring others to be better, maybe that's an indication to you that what you value are things like becoming the best or that competition even among yourself, that element of aspiring to be better. If it's stimulating work, if it's clear goals and vision, it may be the value of improving things that are already in place. So what are the values that are really kind of circulating? Now somebody's mentioning that my sound is a little weird. Is anyone else having that problem right now? I just want to go in the chat box if you would and let me know if there's something wrong with this. Okay. How about right now? Does it sound the same or is it sounding better? This is what happens when I'm using the internet at the university. When I'm home, I seem to be okay, but the internet kind of gets a little weird. So I just switched channels. So hopefully we're doing better. I apologize, guys. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to make it better in here right now. So hopefully this will continue to work for us. All right. So when we're thinking about the values that we are bringing to the table, when we're thinking about those qualities of a good leader, I want you to take a moment now and think about some of those qualities, and are those things that you are currently doing in your job, and how? How are you bringing those qualities to your workplace? If we want to be good leaders going forward, we need to make sure that we are emulating the qualities of good leaders now. Now, when we're thinking about emulating these qualities, think about some of those experiences of bad leaders too. Are we doing any of those now? What oftentimes happens is that we exhibit some of those qualities without realizing it. There's a lot of common pitfalls when it comes to a workplace environment. So take a moment, think of the qualities. How can I use those qualities, or how do I use those qualities in my current role? And if I don't, how could I use them to go further? How could I develop that quality? For some of us, some of these come very easily to us. And if you've done anything with personality assessments, you can see how things like details versus vision or ideas for the future are actually counterintuitive on a lot of personality scales when we're looking at intuition versus sensing, for instance, in the Myers-Briggs type inventory. So some of these may come more naturally, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. You may though want to build upon some of the other pieces. For many people, clear communication does not come naturally. So you may have a great vision, but if you can't communicate that effectively, it may not be as persuasive. So think about how you might be able to build upon your communication skills. Think about how you might be able to build upon your integrity. Are you somebody that will volunteer for things, but maybe forget about them sometimes, or maybe not follow through as effectively? If so, how can we manage our time more effectively to ensure that that doesn't happen? How can we support others? One of the most common pitfalls that people will often fall into in the workplace is talking negatively or gossiping about the people around them. Definitely not an idea that you would want to follow for a new professional. I love that. I bring the motivation to go forward or to think outside the owner's norms. That's wonderful. If you're willing to speak up, to say what is maybe not the most typical response, if you're willing to speak up and think outside the box, that is a big way of leading from a team environment. That's great. So take a moment and think about some of those pieces. Now, 3 essential qualities of a leader essentially boil down to a drive to execute. So idea of putting forth and going forward with ideas, an ability to relate, getting to know those around them, making sure that we can persuade people in a relational way, not simply by fear, and integrity. These are qualities of good leaders that are across the board consistent. Right? Being able to execute an idea, relate to those around them, and integrity. These are things that you could be bringing to the table every day in any role. So always be thinking about how we can bring that up. Do you exhibit these qualities? Think about how you exhibit them. What is evidence of these qualities in your life? Would other people say that you do these things? All right. So, are you somebody who gets along with those that they work with? You don't have to be friends with the people you work with by any means, but can you talk to them? Can you relate to them? Can you persuade them by a similar interest? Can you execute an idea? And if you can't, if you've not had that opportunity yet, that's something you could easily be building in your experience. How do others see you? And this is a piece that It's great if we think we do these things, but it doesn't matter if other people don't see that in us, right? We can think it all day long, but if you do not, or if you are not somebody that consistently does it, it's not going to be something that others will see. So what I want you guys to do for just a moment is to text somebody that you know. So think of somebody who will respond to you quickly. All right. Let's take a look to see what other people think about us. I want you to text a friend or a family member, somebody who will be honest with you. And you can text them one of two things. One, use one word to describe me. What is one word you would use to describe me? Or text them and say, what is something I am good at? Take a moment and text. As those answers come back, put them in the chat box. So either one word you would use to describe me, or what is something that I am good at? As you're doing that, I'm going to switch to a different microphone to see if it's helping. Erin, are you able to hear me a little bit better now, or did it sound better with the other microphone? Perfect. Thank you. I apologize, everyone. Hopefully this will be better. I have a few different computer systems going on here. All right. So go ahead and put in the chat box what people are responding. I'm so curious. So we have understanding, brilliant, bubbly, organized, go-getter, enthusiastic, driven. Ooh. These are all great things to be known at. Intentional. Oh, that's great. If nothing else, this is a nice little ego boost to you, isn't it? People see you as these things. People see things in you that you may not even see in yourself, and that always is nice to see. That positive attitude. That's great. You know, typically when we think of a personal brand, essentially that is going to be, what do people say about me when I'm not in the room? What do people think about me? What is the first thing that they think about me if I'm not there? Encourager. These are the words that are part of your personal brand right now. These are all incredibly positive. That is awesome. Now, would it the same things be said if it was somebody you work with? We'll see. But these are the types of things that are part of your personal brand, whether you realize it or not. Are you bringing these pieces to the workplace? Are you bringing these elements to what you're doing? If so, that is part of your personal brand. And if you do, and these are things that you want to be as part of your personal brand, continue this. Continue doing exactly what you're doing. This is what people are seeing in you now. These are not, if you want people to know you for something else, that is when you need to start being intentional about what those things are. What do you want to be known for? Now, some of those things are very simple. Some of those things are, I want to be known as being encouraging. I want to be known as being a helper. Those are things that you can bring any time. What you want to be known in your professional life may start adapting over time, right? Whether you realize it or not. It may start, your specialty areas will start being defined in your work set just by what you're doing as far as projects. In my last position, I was a career counselor in Missouri. I worked with students all the time, and I started seeing a need for specific student groups needing assistance that were not getting it. And so I started working with our large international student population. Because of my work with that student population, I started doing a lot of conferences and program development in this area. And I became known in that realm for that work. That work with international students became part of my personal brand because of the work I was doing just based off of need. I love that that's part of my personal brand. And I've expanded a personal brand to other areas since I've been here. My personal brand here will look a little different. My job here just looks different. And so my personal brand here has been much more involved with working with groups to improve equity among our students, doing things like the campus career closet and free resume printing and making sure all of our services are accessible. Those are things that I've been doing here that are part of my personal brand in my position. So sometimes your personal brand is intentional and intrinsic to who you are. Sometimes your personal brand will be based off of what you're doing project-wise. But these are things you'll want to be intentional about and define over time. All right, so think about those elements. If you don't know what those things that you want other people to know about you are, start imagining what you would want to be known for. What are the things that are the leaders that you look up to? How can you emulate them a little bit more, but infusing that into your authentic self? Just be a little bit of your authentic self with a polished version, right? Bring who you are to the workplace, but it doesn't have to be all of who you are. You know, one of the things that if you look around my office, which I know you can't see right now, is that I have little tidbits of my life everywhere. I have lots of interests. I have lots of things. Now, I'm not going to have everything for my personal life in my office, but I have tidbits of who I am all around me. And if that's okay in your workplace, do that so that you're bringing who you are into your setting. Try to avoid trying to be someone else in that process. Always be a better leader when you are who you are. Now, when we're thinking about that element of who you are, there are lots of fun things out there that can help you figure out your personal leadership style. All right. So when we're thinking about our personal leadership style, I want you guys to take a couple minutes and actually do an assessment for me now. Now, this assessment you can find here, just like we talked about, but you also can. This is called the Predictive Index. Some of you may be familiar with it. I like it because it's fast. All right. You can do this in 5 minutes. When you go on here, just register for an account. Okay. It's free. So far, I have not been receiving any junk mail based on it, so that's always good too. But register for an account on here. The first screen is going to have you use check boxes to indicate what you think others expect of you. So the ways you are expected to act by others. What do you think others are expecting of you? So go through there and check box everything you think others are expecting of you. The second screen will be how would you describe yourself? What do you believe you actually act like? So I want you to take just a couple minutes and go through this. All right, now when you have finished and you hit continue after those 2 screens, it will tell you what type of leader you are, right? So as you're finishing, throw in the chat box what type of leaders, what kind of leader you are. Let's see what our group is made up of today. Guardian. Collaborator. Love it. Captain. Analytical. God, we have a great combinations going on today. Got some variety in our group. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about your type after you've taken it, you'll see on your page where it says on the screen 3, go to that scholar pattern and you can learn all sorts of information about how you lead. So leading strengths, areas of caution. You can also learn more about those around you. So a great activity would be to bring something like this to your teams, right? Whether you're in a leadership role or not. You could bring something like this to your teams and help people understand how they work best. What is their personal style? How can we use these together? Those who lead most effectively make the most of their team. and let their team work how they work best. And so understanding how that works is going to be important there. This may in and of itself just give you a clearer idea of how others may see you. If this is how it's showing that you lead most effectively, or what type of leader you are, this might be a way for you to kind of start planning how you will lead going forward. Now, for that too, you can see all the different leader types on here. So you see there's a number of different types of leaders out there. All can get to that same outcome, but in different ways. And so leverage your personal style to allow for you to lead the way you lead best. We have adventure in the group. Now, there's a lot of different leadership theories out there. And by all means, use whatever ones you like. There's a lot of different strengths profiles out there. Anything that you can do to learn more about how you operate is going to help you understand how you can move forward as well. So using this as a touch point, you're going to be able to start thinking about your leadership style. How can I use that? And that handout that I gave you is asking you just that. How can I use that going forward? How can I use my leadership style to get to where I want to be in the next few years? Have you thought about that at all? Where do you want to see yourself in the next few years? I'm one of those crazy people who always has a goal in mind and a timeline for those goals. So consider having some sort of goal in mind, and how can we get to that goal? How can we let our leadership style get us to that goal? Now, when we have a goal in mind and we know how we work, the next step is to understand how we can build our experiences in our current setting to get to that next point. We have an idea of our destination. What path are we going to take to get there? And if you don't have a clear idea of that destination, that's okay too. Sometimes simply collecting experiences and opportunities are going to get us to that endpoint, whether we realize it or not. It will help you define that goal. So consider ways of you collecting experiences. What does it mean to collect experiences? The idea of collecting experiences is essentially just simply taking advantage of the opportunities that are around you. The opportunities that either naturally come up or that you can ask for. So in my first job, all right, and I'll even go back further. In my first internship, I was doing mental health counseling at Washington University for my internship. And I was loving that experience. And I just wanted to take as much advantage of that experience as I can. So I volunteered for everything I could. Every subgroup, every committee, every training opportunity that was being offered. And for those of you on college campuses, there's typically a lot of those, right? I took advantage of all of them. And that opportunity is what introduced me to the Safe Zones training. If you're not familiar with Safe Zones, it's looking at how to be more inclusive or understanding of those in the LGBTQ plus population. And it was actually, the club itself was founded on WashU's campus. And so I took advantage of that opportunity to learn more. It was something I hadn't been exposed to a lot of, so I wanted to learn more about it. And in doing so, that one experience, that one training leveraged an interest that has spanned my career. It has leveraged or ignited something in me that has gone further in everything I've done. If I had not taken advantage of that experience, I'm not sure, what would have happened. I would still be here. I'd still be alive. That's not the problem, but it's one of those, what is that opportunity that's going to ignite something in you? Take advantage of them, collect experiences, volunteer for things, join organizations. If you're an outgoing person and want to get involved with networking groups, awesome. If you're not an outgoing person and want to get involved with networking groups, awesome. Take advantage of these types of conferences that are being offered even more conveniently now than ever. If you were to even just Google a skill set that you want to do better at or that you want to learn more about, you're going to see numerous trainings on all of them. COVID has introduced a world of technology that existed prior, but has been leveraged for free education now more than ever. So just right now, of course, I'm continuing my education and earning a PhD right now, but I've also signed up for a number of certificate programs that are being offered for free from universities around the country. One on DEI, one on assessment, and I'm doing those in my work life just to build on skill sets. You can use a lot of resources that you're in different environments or different employers are going to offer. HRs always have trainings involved. Those scopes may vary depending on where you are, but take advantage of it. Get an Excel certification. Get some training on InDesign. You know, those are the types of things that will make you more marketable. I talk to students all the time about the fact that my program itself was a counseling program, taught me the skills to be a counselor. But it was the experiences I did outside of that educational program that gave me the skills I needed to be marketable. So my program itself taught me to be a counselor, and I loved every minute of my program. However, it didn't teach me anything about Excel. It didn't teach me anything about InDesign. And those are skills I use every day on the job, and that make me more marketable in my job. So those experiences that you leverage outside of the setting, opportunities to teach, to expand your horizons, will not only help you focus your career path, but also help you get to that point. Always be working towards something new. And so I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a goal setter. I knew exactly the timeline that I wanted to get past my first job into a new one. I knew exactly the timeline that I wanted to get my license because I'm a licensed professional counselor. I knew exactly that timeline and when I'd be looking for a new position. So I'm a planner. Not everybody's a planner, and that's okay. But that is something that drives me to go forward. The problem is you can plan all you want. If you don't hold yourself accountable, you're going to have a hard time getting to that. So statistically, according to the American Society of Training and Development, people who have written goals are 50% more likely to achieve them than those who don't have written goals. So statistically, if we want to get to where we want to go, let's write it down, all right? Also, if you have an idea of a goal, you're only 10% likely to actually get there if you don't do any of the other things. If you consciously decide you're going to do it, you're 25% likely to achieve it. Hey, we're increasing our odds. That's great. Exactly, Erin. Manifest those goals. Plan how you want to get there. If you make a plan, you're 50% likely to get there. If you commit to someone else that you are going to get there, you are 65% likely to get there. All right. If you have a specific accountability appointment with a person that you've committed to, you are 95% more likely to get that goal achieved. So if we know statistically this is the case, start thinking of ways that you can hold yourself accountable. Start thinking of those vision boards, an action plan, a pathway to your success. Write it down, put it in front of you, tell those around you, and set an appointment with someone to hold you accountable. This is going to get you to that point. For me, that accountability partner is my husband and then also my best friend. All right. I have two people that do not let me flake on the things that I want to get done, the things that are important to me. They make sure that I am not just letting it go by the wayside because it's too easy to do that. Hold yourself accountable, set those goals. So final thoughts here, guys. Know what you want others to know you for. Know the qualities that you want to go forward. Have confidence in yourself to be your authentic, true version of who you are, bringing that to the workplace as your stepping stone to your success. Build on the qualities and experiences that will help you get to where you want to go, and make sure you have an idea of where that might be. Gain those experiences, avoid the pitfalls that can get in your way to those successes. And those are the things that are going to get you to from where you are right now to where you want to go moving forward. What types of questions do we have today? Not seeing any questions come up. What kinds of things can you do today What is one thing you can do today that will help you get to where you want to go? I want everyone to leave here today with an idea of one thing you can do today that will help you get to where that might be. For me, I live by the idea of empowered women empower women. And so helping others helping others in the workplace. I'm not competing with anyone I work with. I am helping others get to where they want to go. Think about how that will go for you. Do you have a mentor? Is there someone that you know that will be willing to mentor you? And who can you take the time to mentor to help get to where they want to go? Yes, update and write down your goals. Change where you need to. Be open to change. Ask for feedback from those around you. Get a 360 evaluation. Those are really helpful to know how other people look at you. You may have noticed that maybe a leader at some point made you feel welcome in your workplace. Maybe extend that to someone else who's new. Invite someone to get a coffee or to have a chat on Zoom to get to know them better. How can you do something today that will help you become the person you want to be known for in the future? I've put my email up here. If you have any questions, let me know. I really appreciate your time, everyone, today and your interaction during this session. And I apologize for my cutting in and out voice on there. If you need anything from me, please do not be afraid to reach out. And remember, our services are available to alum up to 5 years after you graduate. And so please reach out to our office when needed. Thanks, guys.
Addie, thank you so much for such an empowering session. I learned so much today. And thank you everyone for joining us for this particular session, but also the entire Women's Summit. It's just been an awesome experience so far. Just got a couple of notes. At 1 p.m., Human Sciences presents Women Who Are Changing the World. Dean Hubbard will share the latest exciting developments for the College of Human Sciences, and also hear from 3 special guests who are living the Human Sciences mission statement of improving quality of life for all and changing the world. There is a registration link that I'm about to put into the chat for those who are interested. As well as my last announcement for today is our final closing session for the Women's Summit will begin at 2 p.m. It's Lead with Purpose from Addye Buckley. So join us today for that final session. And then following our final and closeout will be the Women's Leadership Institute networking session. So please join us for that. The link is also in the chat for that session. Joining Julia Weird, who is the new director of the Women's Leadership Institute. She's fabulous, and I can't wait for you all to connect with her and see how you can give back to our current students. And again, thank you so much for joining us for this session, and War Eagle.
Bye, guys.